Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
Third round of the Quicken Loans National from Congressional. The Big Easy, Ernie Els quickly moving up the leaderboard. Ernie at hole 12. Holes out for eagle from 157 yards. His longest hole out on the PGA Tour since 2010. But Ernie and everyone else chasing Billy Hurley III, the 34-year-old, seeking his first PGA Tour win in his 104th PGA Tour start. Everyone in the world of golf, thoughts and prayers with the folks of West Virginia due to the heavy flooding and damage. The Greenbrier Classic becomes the third PGA Tour event to be canceled due to weather in the last 20 years. With that, we welcome you into Golf Central. Ryan Burr along with Aaron Oberholzer and Trevor Immelman. Trevor, I know you were supposed to play the Greenbrier Classic in a couple weeks. The event has been canceled. Your immediate thoughts to the situation? Yeah, obviously such a tragic situation with the flooding there. You know, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody affected. You know, as players, since we've been going there in 2010, we've always been so welcomed so much, had such a great time, great family atmosphere. We've always loved going there. And, you know, we just hope that we can start rebuilding that community and look forward to being back next year. Aaron?
It's all about the people of West Virginia now. It has nothing to do with the golf tournament at this point. I wouldn't be surprised if the PGA Tour and their charitable efforts find their way to help those people recover, as the PGA Tour is always so great about those things. So this historic flooding that has hit the West Virginia area certainly taking its effect on the Greenbrier County and Greenbrier Resort. The PGA Tour saying the Greenbrier Classic, scheduled for July 7th through the 10th, has been canceled due to the devastating flooding caused by record rainfalls throughout West Virginia. Greenbrier County, where the Greenbrier Resort is located, has been particularly hit hard by the torrential rains. The Old White TPC, host course for the tournament, suffered extensive damage from the flooding and is beyond a reasonable repair to conduct the tournament. Tim Fincham went on to say, quote, "Canceling the Greenbrier Classic is certainly the most prudent course of action, as our foremost concern is the well-being of those who are having to live through the tragic situation. We know we will have the opportunity to return again next year, and we look forward to that time. But for now, this is of secondary concern. The priority is safety of the residents and their recovery from this disaster. Our thoughts and prayers are with them." And for more, we welcome in Andy Pazder, the Executive Vice President and Chief of Operations of the PGA Tour. Andy, certainly we all understand the decision to cancel the event in 2 weeks, as all the efforts need to be put into the relief of this devastation from the flood. There are some golf questions, and although certainly they are minor to what's going on in West Virginia, we do want to know, was there any consideration to moving to a different venue away from West Virginia?
Well, Ryan, first, before I answer that, let me extend on behalf of the PGA Tour our heartfelt thoughts and prayers for the residents of Greenbrier County and the greater state of West Virginia. It's a real tragedy, and we wish them and everybody there the best in dealing with this tragic situation. We did spend some time, Ryan, speaking with Greenbrier officials as we evaluated options. Once we knew the Old White TPC course was indeed unplayable, we did look at alternative courses. We did not find any that we felt would be a satisfactory venue. And beyond that, the issue really was what was the right thing to do. And in our mind, and in the Greenbrier Resort, in their mind, I believe without a doubt it was to make sure every available resource was focused on helping the residents of West Virginia dealing with this terrible situation.
With that said, was there a thought to move this event to later in the fall and keep it at the Greenbrier Resort?
Well, we talked about a number of options. As we talked about one already, Ryan, we did look at our calendar, see if there were any available dates. In the final analysis and consultation with Mr. Justice and his team, we just felt that the only prudent decision here was to cancel the Greenbrier Classic. Again, it's going to take months and months and months for residents and administrators to recover from this tragedy, and we did not want to be a part of being a distraction in any way, shape, or form. And that really is what drove our decision in this process. We just, again, never were comfortable with the thought of being a distraction in a time of great need.
And Andy, we certainly echo your thoughts on our thoughts and prayers with everyone dealing with the devastation. And once again, we understand these are minor questions compared to what's going on in West Virginia. But let's move to the FedEx Cup points. With the event canceled, has there been any conversation about reallocating the points that would have been available at the Greenbrier Classic?
There hasn't, Ryan, only because the only way to do that would be to create a new event, and given the short time frame and short notice, that's an impossibility as well. You can only imagine the logistics. It would be required to start an event from scratch with only 9 days advance notice, and unfortunately, we just will not have a tournament to replace the Greenbrier Classic. We last canceled an event, I believe, was 2009 with our Sanderson Farms Championship, and again, just a dire set of circumstances, and we regret canceling it, but we are comfortable in knowing that we did the right thing here.
And finally, Andy, understand the FedEx Cup points. The Greenbrier Classic was also to be part of the Open Championship qualifying series. Last chance to get into our third major of the year. Has that conversation been discussed about that Open Championship bid that was available?
We have had some conversations. We are reviewing it with officials at the Royal and Ancient. We started that process early this morning. It's being reviewed by their championship committee, and we're hopeful to have a resolution of that early tomorrow if possible, certainly by Monday, so that we can let everybody know the outcome of that piece of this.
Andy Pastor, we appreciate you taking the time today, and once again, everyone's thought and prayers certainly with the folks in West Virginia. Thanks for your time, Andy.
My pleasure, Ryan. Thank you.
So you take a look at the tournaments canceled due to weather over the last 20 years. The flooding, the heavy rains at Sanderson Farms in 2009, and the unplayable conditions at Pebble Beach in 1996. Things are very playable this week at the Quicken Loans National at Congressional. Third round highlights, Billy Hurley III in search of that first PGA Tour win at the first. What a way to get started.
This is the way you want to get your round started on a tough golf course. This is kind of a handshake hole right out of the gate, and he does a good job of shaking hands with it.
And he leads the field in proximity to the hole. That will help. He goes to 12 under, playing alongside Jon Rahm, professional debut, led after the first and second round.
And Aaron, we were wondering how these guys were going to start. But they just both dial it up there, pulling the string on their wedge shots, and both pretty much have gimmies for birdie.
Yeah, questions answered quickly.
So both to 12 under, and they remain tied. Stick with Hurley now at the sixth hole, the par 5. This is third from 83.
Yeah, and this is just laid up just in the first cut. No big deal here. You can still get enough spin on the ball. His tempo and balance have just been phenomenal all week, and just another great example of that. It's been spot on with his irons.
Hard to believe that his best finish this year is a tie for 41st. The way he's hitting the ball this week, you just can't fathom that he hasn't done better.
Here he is on number 9, third shot. I mean, he has just got beautiful distance control, spin control. He's leaving the ball on the right side of the cup to leave himself an uphill putt. It's great stuff.
And he hit 14 of 18 greens, did Hurley. This is back to Rahm from 22 feet.
After a poor drive and a poor wedge to 22 feet from 106, he's like, well, I'll make that up with a great putt.
And Jon Rahm, 13 under, 1 back. Rahm now at 11.
Ryan, this is a tough tee shot. And he's leaning on it. He's looking down the right side.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Tell you what, come on. Last time I visited down there was a troll under that bridge.
One bounce in the fairway and ends up under the bridge. As you talk about, you heard the angst from Jon Rahm. Little angst here from Ernie Els.
Very little. Beautiful swing. That tempo hasn't changed since 1997 when he won here. And hello. Flies it into the cup. Down the flagstick she goes.
Missed 4 straight cuts on the PGA Tour entering the week, did Ernie Els, but he certainly has found something to 12 under, just 2 back. Els now at 14, putting for birdie.
And this is the key for Ernie. He's always been hitting it good. Look at this slider down the hill. Dials it up beautifully.
Just feels comfortable at Congressional. 13 under for Els, 1 shot back. Rahm now at 13.
Oh, this is avert your eyes, avert your eyes. Warning. Yes, that's correct. How great is that to have that on a shot tracer?
Trackman got that.
Shankopotamus, El Hosel, pitch out, and checking the runner at first. Those are all the names I can come up with for Shank, and this was exactly what he did. He kind of tried to turn the toe down. That's what happens sometimes with a weak grip with people when you think you got to over-release it like that, and you get the hosel out there.
Would make bogey. Back to Hurley now, 14 to extend the lead.
Another beautiful iron shot in here. Again, uphill putt for birdie. 2 days in a row, Billy has birdied that hole.
15 under, 2-shot lead. Ernie now at 18.
Well, this bailed out to the right in the bunker, which is you get what you have to do to avoid the water on the left, and Ernie's been one of the best bunker players. What is it with you South Africans in sand? All you guys are fantastic bunker players.
Makes par there. L's bogey-free 65, finishes at 13 under par.
And Aaron, you and I were watching this closely.
Yes.
Made a great stroke to knock it.
Fantastic.
Almost 5.5 strokes gained tee to green in the third round for Ernie Els. And finally, what a story it would be. Billy Hurley III.
The Navy man who went to school in Annapolis, just down the street from this golf course. Fantastic stuff from Billy there after hacking it out of the rough. And it was smart play just short of the green, pitched up, and a nice par.
And his second 54-hole lead of his PGA Tour career, ironically, the last 2014 Greenbrier Classic. So Hurley, 2-shot lead going into Sunday with the Hall of Famer Ernie Els behind, another major champion in Webb Simpson and Vijay Singh in hot pursuit. And then there's Jon Rahm, professional debut, who will start his Sunday 3-back. For now, it's Billy Hurley with the lead after 54.
Thanks, Billy. It looked like a smooth 67 for you out there. How would you describe it?
Yeah, just, no bogeys is always nice. I'd say, having a nice 2-putt on 2, and then kind of a bad drive on 3, and a great up and down, great 8-footer on 3 to save par. Kind of just settled around and kind of got it going back the right direction. Then made, a couple birdies to finish the front 9, and just one birdie on the back. Wish I had a couple more, but we always wish we shot one less in the game of golf.
You look very comfortable at the top of the leaderboard. You've had 3 consecutive days of good play. What's kind of clicked into gear for you?
Like I told you yesterday, I just hit a lot of quality shots, just really getting the ball out of the middle of the club face. Sounds kind of silly and simple, but, you hit it out of the middle and it goes where you're looking.
To be in this spot, and obviously, like I've been mentioning all week, you got a lot of friends and family here. How comforting is that?
It's fun, like I've told you before, and it's fun to play in a hometown crowd. It's fun to play a golf course that for whatever reason, I just see well and enjoy playing.
So taking a look at what Billy Hurley III has been able to do this week, and I said his last 54-hole lead was at the Greenbrier in 2014. This is only the second time he's done it. Oh, by the way, in 2014, in that final round, it was a final round of 73. So he will look to do better than that, and should he do better, his hybrids, Trevor, might be a big reason why that he is making a big check come Sunday at Congressional.
Yeah, well, Billy's been making some beautiful swings all week as we've been watching him. And earlier in the week, we were talking about how this is like a bomber's paradise, especially with the wet conditions. I mean, he has hit some hybrid shots that have been so impressive. This is on the 2nd hole this morning. Uphill par 3. This is from about 225 yards with the elevation. Just beautifully controlled, bringing it down soft. A lot of these guys were able to go at that flag, able to hit, 5s and 4-irons, and he's going with a hybrid. This is on 11 up the hill. Water to the right, bunkers to the left, off of an uphill lie.
This is a brutal shot with a hybrid. It is really tough.
Dialing it right up there inside of 15 feet, and it just goes to show it's not all about power when you can hit your long hybrids and long irons that accurately.
And you think about, who's to say who has the most pressure come Sunday? Every player that's in contention will feel pressure, but Ernie hasn't won in a long time. Jon Rahm hasn't been here before. He's a pro for the first time, but here's a guy that's made 104 starts and has never won. And now he sits on a 2-shot 54-hole lead. I think you could make a strong case that he might feel it more than anyone else.
Oh, I would think that he is going to feel it. I don't, a 2-shot lead over a guy like Ernie Els on a golf course that he's won a U.S. Open on, over a Hall of Famer, that's not a lead at all, in my opinion, on the PGA Tour when you're talking about relative experiences, especially on a big golf course like this. So he's going to have to go out, have a good warm-up. He didn't have a good warm-up today, but he was able to catch himself right on the first hole right away. He's going to have to go out there and start exactly the same way he did today and hit some good shots right off the bat. And if he can do that, calm himself down, get a couple of good putts under his belt, then maybe he's got a chance. But I'm telling you, this is going to be an experience where he is going to be gasping for air on that first tee tomorrow.
And you take a look at the numbers. The last 3 years on the PGA Tour, a 2-shot lead going into the final round, they close at a percentage of 39%. Now, hard to believe you have a 2-shot lead, you only win 39% of the time. That's the last 3 years on the PGA Tour. For you, what's the biggest thing Hurley will have to overcome on Sunday, Trevor?
Well, I think he's just got to go out there and play the way he's been playing. I mean, I know that sounds very simple, and it sounds kind of cliched in a sense, but he's just played some beautiful golf tee to green. We've hardly seen him out of position.
Yeah, he hasn't been.
And, you know, I've played a lot of golf with Billy. We, you know, generally our lockers are quite kind of near each other in the locker room, and he's an easygoing guy. Doesn't get too riled up about anything. And I think he'll be just fine tomorrow, and I'm rooting for him to play well.
He needs to be able to slow the game down, Ryan. Slow it down in his own mind, and that's the hardest thing to do when you haven't been in this position before.
No, Ernie Els has been in this position before, but it's been quite an amount of time since Ernie has been in this position after 54 holes, all the way back to the Arnold Palmer Invitational in 2010, that Ernie has been this far up the leaderboard after 54 holes. Here's Ernie with George Savaricas.
All right, thank you. A bogey-free 65 for Ernie Els. Ernie, it had been some time since you put together a day like this. What was it like?
Yeah, it was fun. You know, playing at Congressional is one of my favorite places to play golf at, and and playing it with a little bit of confidence in the golf swing. You know, you don't want to come here when you're not playing really well, and kind of found my swing and putting touch, and just kind of been enjoying it, and basically with the people, they had a lot of support out there. A lot of the members were out there today, so we had a good time.
Take me through the Eagle on 12 and the reaction.
It was just wonderful. I had a really good drive. I had 160 to the flag, was going downhill a bit, and the 9-iron just came out absolutely perfect. I didn't want to talk to it, so I said to Ricky, "You speak to it." And as he said, "Be right," it slam dunked into the hole. So I'd like to see that one after.
After what happened at Augusta, to be in contention so quickly after, what's it like for you to kind of get the competitive juices flowing again?
Well, as I said to Dottie earlier, I've played the game such a long time, and I've had so many great ups and quite a few downs, and obviously the one at the Masters was probably the lowest that what can happen to a player. But I just kind of put the reset button and start working on stuff, the positive stuff, and get my mind set differently. And I enjoy putting. I made a lot of I had a lot of practice on that first green, so to speak. But I kind of try to put it behind me. It's very tough to do, but I enjoy the game too much to end on a note like that. So just enjoying putting again.
13 under is Ernie Els. Seems to be in great position, smile on his face. You know him well. What do you think this does for Ernie to put himself back in position going into a Sunday?
Well, I just thought that was a fantastic interview right there. Very honest, very forthright with his answers. It's great to hear him saying that he loves the game so much that he didn't want to leave the game with that kind of finish, what happened at Augusta. So, like he said, he referenced it there. He's feeling good about his swing. And it's going to boil down to the fact if he can get some putts going in on the front 9 tomorrow, get a little wind in his sails, he is a proven Hall of Fame championship golfer.
Aaron, we talked about the pressure that Hurley will face. Even though the resume is incredible, already in the Hall of Fame, it's been a long time since he's closed one out. What will he fight tomorrow? Well,
I think he's going to fight some nerves, too, in a different way that Billy Hurley is going to fight some nerves, because Ernie's playing for that 20th win, and that 20th win's kind of a big deal. There's a select company that he's trying to enter into with 20 PGA Tour wins, plus that's pretty much a lifetime exemption. So he can go out and play whenever or wherever he wants with that 20th win on the PGA Tour. So that's a big deal for most guys, especially when you've already got the Hall of Fame. But I agree with Trevor. The one thing that I took from that sound is that he's enjoying putting again. This is a guy who 6-putted the first hole at Augusta National and talked about it, which I thought was more heroic than actually finishing the round. It took a lot of guts to come out and face it and talk about it, as he called the heebie-jeebies. And now look at how he's putting. So if he can get those putts early, like Trev said, I agree with him. It's going to be fun to watch, and he might be walking away with his 20th victory tomorrow.
That would be something for sure. A lot more still to come here on Golf Central as we roll on. We look back to Ernie Els almost 20 years ago at Congressional and how his swing being held up then and held up today on the back nine once again at the Quicken Loans National. Plus, it's the youngster, his first professional start for John Rahm heading into the Sunday.
Golf Central is brought to you by Titleist, the #1 ball at Quicken Loans National. Titleist, the #1 ball in golf. Shipsticks, the largest golf bag shipping company in the world, simplifying the way you travel.